Jake thought his life was perfect until he saw his wife sneak out of stranger's house. A single moment shattered his trust, sparking a gripping journey of truth, betrayal, and a clever plan for justice. Will Jake uncover the secrets hiding in plain sight? Buckle up for a story that'll keep you on edge. Jake Thompson, a 35-year-old high school history teacher in suburban Austin, Texas, thought he had life figured out. His marriage to Emily, his college sweetheart, was the kind of steady rhythm that felt like home. They'd built a life together over 10 years, filled with small rituals, Saturday hikes in Zilker Park, volunteering at the local food bank, and quiet evenings binge-watching true crime documentaries. Jake loved the predictability, the way Emily's laughter could light up even his worst days. She worked as a marketing coordinator for a tech startup, often leaving early to beat the morning traffic on I-35. Jake, with his flexible teacher's schedule, would linger over coffee, grading papers, or prepping lessons. Their routine was comfortable, almost automatic, until the morning it wasn't. It started with a phone call at 7:15 a.m. Jake was halfway through his second cup of coffee when his phone buzzed. Tom Carter, his colleague and friend at Austin High, sounded apologetic on the other end. "Jake, man, I hate to ask, but I twisted my ankle pretty bad last night. Can't drive. Any chance you could swing by and give me a lift to school?" Tom's voice carried that mix of embarrassment and gratitude that comes with needing a favor. Jake didn't hesitate. "No problem, bud. I'll be there in 20. Helping out was second nature to Jake. He was the guy who stayed late to tutor struggling students, who organized the school's charity 5K. A quick detour to pick up Tom? Easy. He grabbed his keys, hopped into his beat-up Honda CR-V, and headed toward Tom's place in Hyde Park, a quiet neighborhood of bungalows and oak-lined streets. Jake didn't know the area well, but it was only a 10-minute drive from his own home in Rosedale. He pulled up to Tom's address, parked along the curb, and fiddled with the radio, settling on a classic rock station. The morning was crisp, the kind of Texas fall day that felt more like spring. He glanced at his phone, scrolling through a few emails, expecting to wait a bit since Tom had warned him about his slow limp. Then, movement across the street caught his eye. A door swung open at the house opposite Tom's, a small, unremarkable place with a neatly trimmed lawn. Jake's breath caught in his throat. Emily stepped out. His Emily. She moved quickly, her head swiveling left and right like she was checking for witnesses. Her blonde hair was tied back, and she clutched her bag tightly, the same one she carried to work every day. Before Jake could process what he was seeing, she darted to her silver Toyota Corolla, parked a few houses down, and peeled out of the street. The engine's hum faded as Jake sat frozen, his hands gripping the steering wheel. His mind raced. What was she doing here? Her office was downtown, a good 20 minutes away, and she'd left home at her usual 6:45 a.m., claiming her early start was to dodge rush hour. This wasn't her route. This wasn't her anything. Jake's heart pounded a dull thud in his chest. He tried to piece together a logical explanation. Maybe she was visiting a friend? Dropping off something? But the way she'd scanned the street, the urgency in her steps, it didn't feel innocent. It felt like a secret. He thought about calling her, his thumb hovering over her name on his phone. But what would he say? "Hey, Em, why were you sneaking out a random house?" He could already hear her deflecting, her voice light and practiced, offering some plausible excuse. Jake lowered the phone, his jaw tight. No, he needed more than her words. He needed to know. Tom emerged a minute later, hobbling toward the car with a makeshift crutch fashioned from a broomstick. "You're a lifesaver, Jake," he said, easing into the passenger seat with a wince. "This ankle's killing me, but I couldn't miss today's staff meeting." Jake forced a smile, nodding as Tom rambled about his clumsy fall down the stairs. But Jake's mind was elsewhere, replaying Emily's hurried exit on a loop. The drive to school was a blur. Tom's chatter about lesson plans and the upcoming football game barely registered. Jake mumbled responses, his eyes fixed on the road, but his thoughts were stuck on that house, on Emily's glance, on the sinking feeling that his life wasn't what it seemed. At school, Jake went through the motions, teaching his classes on autopilot. His students didn't notice, but his usual energy was gone. During his lunch break, he sat in the teacher's lounge, staring at his uneaten sandwich. Small details about Emily started to surface, things he'd brushed off before. The way she'd been glued to her phone lately, angling it away when he walked by. The client dinners that ran late, her explanations always vague but delivered with a smile. The time she'd come home smelling faintly of cologne, not hers, not his. Each memory hit like a pinprick, sharp and cumulative. By the time he got home that evening, Emily was already there, prepping dinner in their small kitchen. "Hey, babe," she called out, her voice bright as she chopped vegetables. "Rough day." Jake studied her for a moment, her casual ease, the way she moved like nothing was wrong. He wanted to ask, to demand answers, but the words caught in his throat. Instead, he muttered, "Yeah, just long," and excused himself to grade papers in the living room. He couldn't shake the image of her leaving that house, and with it came a new resolve. He wouldn't confront her yet. He'd watch, wait, and find out what she was hiding. That night, Jake barely slept. He lay beside Emily, her steady breathing a stark contrast to the storm in his head. By morning, he made a decision. He texted Tom, confirming he'd pick him up again. Another chance to watch that house, to see if Emily would reappear. As he drove to Hyde Park the next day, his stomach churned with a mix of dread and determination. He parked in the same spot, eyes locked on the house across the street. No Emily, no car, just silence. Tom climbed in, thanking him again, oblivious to Jake's tension. The absence of answers only deepened Jake's unease, like a puzzle missing its key piece. That Jake's trust in Emily was crumbling, but he wasn't ready to confront her. A single glimpse of her sneaking out of a stranger's house had sparked a fire of doubt. Now, he's on a mission to uncover the truth, and every step pulls him deeper into a web of secrets. Hold on tight. This ride's about to get intense. Jake Thompson woke up before dawn, his mind a tangle of suspicion and resolve. The image of Emily slipping out of that Hyde Park house 2 days ago burned in his memory, each detail sharper than the last. Her quick glance, her hurried steps, the way her car vanished down the street. Lying next to her in their Austin home, he felt like a stranger in his own life. Emily slept soundly, unaware of the storm brewing in Jake's head. He couldn't confront her yet, not without proof. Today, he'd dig deeper. He texted Tom, confirming he'd pick him up again for work. The ride was his excuse to stake out that house, to see if Emily would reappear. Jake drove to Hyde Park, the early morning streets quiet under a gray Texas sky. He parked across from the mystery house, his Honda CR-V blending into the row of cars along the curb. His eyes scanned the street, hyper-alert, catching every movement, a jogger, a dog walker, a flickering porch light. No sign of Emily's silver Toyota. The absence felt like a taunt, amplifying his unease. Was she there now, hidden behind that closed door? Or was it a one-off, a fluke he'd blown out of proportion? Tom hobbled out, leaning less on his makeshift crutch. "You're a champ, Jake," he said, sliding into the passenger seat. "Last day of this, I promise. Ankle's almost good." Jake nodded, forcing a half-smile, but his attention stayed glued to the house across the street. No movement, no Emily. Tom chatted about a new history curriculum, oblivious to Jake's distraction. The drive to Austin High felt endless, Jake's mind racing faster than the car. He needed answers, not just suspicions. At school, Jake's lessons were mechanical, his usual passion dulled by the weight of doubt. During a free period, he called his sister, Mia, a 32-year-old software developer with a knack for solving problems. They'd always been close, sharing everything from childhood secrets to career advice. "Mia, I need your help," Jake said, his voice low as he paced the empty teacher's lounge. He recounted seeing Emily leave the house, her nervous demeanor, and the nagging clues he'd ignored. Late nights, evasive answers, her phone always face down. Mia listened, her silence heavy with concern. "That's not like Em," she said finally. "But you can't just sit on this. Want me to check something for you? Her phone's location data, maybe?" Jake hesitated. Digging into Emily's privacy felt like crossing a line, but so did her sneaking around. "Yeah," he said, voice tight. "Just be discreet." Mia promised to look into it, warning him it might take a day to access anything useful. Jake thanked her, his stomach twisting. He was stepping into uncharted territory, and there was no turning back. That evening, Emily was home when Jake arrived, humming as she scrolled through her phone on the couch. "Hey, good day," she asked, her smile bright but oddly distant. Jake's chest tightened. He wanted to demand answers, to shake her and ask why she was lying. Instead, he mumbled, "Yeah, fine," and busied himself with grading papers. Every glance at her felt like a test of his restraint. Her casual ease, once comforting, now seemed like a mask. He noticed her phone buzz with a text. She glanced at it, typed quickly, and set it down, screen hidden. Jake's jaw clenched. He couldn't unsee the signs piling up. The next morning, Jake repeated his ritual, driving to Tom's house with a mix of dread and determination. He parked, eyes locked on the house across the street. Still no Emily, no car. The quiet street mocked him, offering no clues. Tom climbed in, cheerful now that his ankle was healing. "Back to driving tomorrow," he said, clapping Jake's shoulder. Jake nodded, barely listening. His window of opportunity was closing. Tom wouldn't need rides after today. If Emily didn't show, he'd have to find another way to investigate. Mia called during lunch, her voice hushed but urgent. "Got something," she said. "I checked Emily's shared location data. You guys still have that family plan, right? Her phone's been at that Hyde Park address multiple times this month. At least twice a week, always early mornings." Jake's heart sank, the confirmation hitting like a punch. "Any idea who lives there?" he asked. Mia paused. "Not yet, but I can dig around. Property records, maybe. Give me a few hours." Jake thanked her, his mind spinning. Emily wasn't just visiting. She was frequenting that house, building a routine he'd never suspected. Back at school, Jake's focus frayed. He mixed up dates in a lecture, earning confused looks from his students. During a break, he Googled the address on his phone, but public records only showed it was a rental, no names attached. Frustration gnawed at him. He needed to know who was behind that door, what pulled Emily there. The day dragged, each hour stretching his nerves thinner. By the time he got home, Emily was out, client meeting, her text read. Jake stared at the message, doubt creeping into every word she'd ever said. That night, Mia texted him a breakthrough. Found the tenant's name, she wrote. Ryan Caldwell, 36, works at Emily's company. Marketing team. Sound familiar? Jake's blood ran cold. Ryan. He met him once at a company happy hour. A smooth-talking guy with a too-easy grin. Emily had laughed off Ryan's charm, calling him just a co-worker. Jake's fingers tightened around his phone. He didn't have proof of an affair, but the pieces were falling into place, each one sharper than the last. Tomorrow, he'd watch that house one final time. If Emily showed up, he'd be ready for whatever came next. Jake's world was unraveling. Emily's secret visits to Ryan's house confirmed his worst fears, but he needed proof, not just suspicion. Today was his last chance to catch her in the act. With his phone ready and his heart pounding, Jake's about to face a truth that could break him or set him free. Buckle up for a gut-wrenching showdown. Jake Thompson barely slept, his mind trapped in a loop of Emily's furtive exits and Ryan Caldwell's name. The revelation from his sister, Mia, that Ryan, a slick co-worker from Emily's marketing team, was the tenant of the Hyde Park house hit like a sledgehammer. Jake's marriage, once his anchor, now felt like a sinking ship. Today was Tom's final day, needing a ride to work. Jake's last shot to catch Emily at that house. He woke before dawn in their Austin home. Emily still asleep, her face peaceful in a way that now seemed like a lie. He slipped out quietly, his resolve hardening with every step. Driving to Hyde Park, Jake's hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. The early morning air was cool, the streets of Austin still waking up. He parked across from Ryan's house, the same spot he'd staked out for days. His phone sat in his lap, camera app open, ready to record. The house stood silent, its windows dark, but Emily's silver Toyota was there, parked 2 spaces down. Jake's chest tightened, a mix of dread and adrenaline surging through him. She was here. After days of waiting, wondering, doubting himself, the truth was close. He glanced at the time. 6:50 a.m. Emily had left home at her usual 6:45, claiming another early workday. Jake's eyes stayed locked on the house, every second stretching into eternity. He ignored the radio, the passing cars, the jogger looping the block. His focus was razor-sharp, trained on that front door. At 7:03, it opened. Emily stepped out, moving fast, her head swiveling as it had before, checking the street. But this time, Ryan followed. Tall, confident, he placed a hand on her lower back, guiding her toward her car. Jake's breath caught. He hit record, his hands steady despite the storm inside him. They stopped at Emily's car. Ryan leaned in, and they kissed, not a quick peck, but a deep, lingering kiss that spoke of familiarity, of something built over time. Jake's stomach churned, but he kept the camera rolling, capturing every second. Emily got in her Toyota, Ryan watching her drive off with a smug grin. Jake stopped recording, his hands trembling now. The video was undeniable, a raw wound captured in pixels. He wanted to scream, to storm across the street and confront Ryan, but he didn't. He needed more than an outburst. He needed a plan. Tom emerged from his house, limping slightly, but moving better. "Last ride, man," he said, climbing into Jake's CRV. "Can't thank you enough." Jake nodded, his voice locked in his throat. Tom's chatter about the school's upcoming pep rally faded into static as Jake drove, the video burning a hole in his pocket. At Austin High, Jake went through his classes like a ghost, his mind replaying the kiss, Ryan's hand, Emily's ease. He couldn't teach, couldn't focus. By lunch, he texted Mia, sent her the video. "Got it," he wrote. "What now?" Mia called immediately, her voice tense. "Jake, I'm so sorry. That's awful. You okay?" He wasn't, but he muttered, "I'll manage." "What do I do with this?" Mia, ever practical, suggested digging into Ryan's background. "Guys like that, they're rarely clean. Let me poke around online, work stuff, social media, anything public." Jake agreed, his anger shifting to determination. Confronting Emily now might lead to lies or excuses. He wanted leverage, something to make the truth stick. During his free period, Jake sat in his classroom, staring at the video on his phone. Each frame cut deeper, but he forced himself to focus. He remembered Ryan from that company happy hour. Charming, overly friendly, the kind of guy who worked a room. Emily had brushed off his flirtations then, but now Jake saw it differently. He opened his laptop, searching Ryan's name. LinkedIn showed him as a senior marketing strategist at Emily's tech startup, with a polished profile and glowing endorsements. But something fell off, too perfect, too curated. Mia texted an hour later. "Found something. Ryan's been flagged on an internal company forum. Nothing concrete, but rumors of him fudging expense reports and cozying up to clients for personal perks. I'll keep digging." Jake's pulse quickened. If Ryan was shady at work, it could be a way to expose him without making this just about the affair. He didn't want revenge. He wanted justice, something that wouldn't let Emily or Ryan slink away with excuses. That evening, Jake got home before Emily. She texted, saying she'd be late, another client dinner. He didn't respond, his mind racing. When she walked in at 9 p.m., she seemed startled to see him on the couch, laptop open. "Hey, you're up," she said, her voice too bright. Jake studied her, searching for cracks in her facade. "Long day?" he asked, keeping his tone neutral. She nodded, launching into a vague story about a demanding client. Jake listened, his face a mask, but inside he was plotting. He'd confront her soon, but first, he needed Mia's research to solidify his case. Before bed, Mia sent a final update. Checked property records and cross-referenced Ryan's work email. He's been renting that house for 6 months. Same time Emily's late night started. Also, found a whistleblower post on a job board. Someone at their company suspects Ryan's been skimming project budgets. HR might already be watching him. Jake stared at the message, a plan forming. Tomorrow, he'd tell Emily one last time, confirm the pattern, and then act. Not with anger, but with precision. The truth was close, and he wouldn't let it slip away. Jake had the proof. Emily's kiss with Ryan, captured on his phone, was a blade to his heart. But he wasn't ready to confront her yet. Armed with evidence and Mia's research, he's crafting a plan to expose the truth without losing himself to rage. The stakes are higher than ever, and one wrong move could unravel everything. Get ready for a tense showdown where secrets come to light. Jake Thompson's world had shifted from certainty to chaos in days. The video of Emily kissing Ryan Caldwell outside that Hyde Park house played on repeat in his mind, each frame a fresh cut. He'd spent the last night sleepless in their Austin home, Emily's casual lies about client dinners stinging more with every word. Jake's sister, Mia, had uncovered Ryan's shady work habits, rumors of fudged expense reports, and client favoritism. Jake wasn't just fighting for his marriage now. He was fighting for clarity, for a way to end this betrayal without sinking to their level. Today, he'd act. He woke early, The house quiet as Emily left for her early meeting at 6:45 a.m. Jake didn't follow her to Hyde Park. Tom no longer needed rides, and Jake had what he needed: the video, Mia's intel, and a growing resolve. Instead, he called Mia from his car outside Austin High, his voice low but steady. "I'm confronting her tonight," he said. "But I want to hit Ryan where it hurts, his job. Can we package what you found?" Mia, ever the strategist, agreed. "I'll compile the forum posts and whistleblower claims. We can send an anonymous tip to their HR. It's clean, legal, and he'll face real consequences." By midday, Mia sent a zipped file, screenshots of internal complaints about Ryan's padded expenses, a timeline of his questionable client gifts, and a redacted post from a job board hinting at an HR investigation already underway. Jake skimmed it during his lunch break, his jaw tight. Ryan wasn't just a homewrecker. He was reckless, using his charm to skirt accountability. Jake's plan crystallized: expose Ryan's misconduct to force scrutiny on him and Emily. But first, he'd face his wife. At school, Jake's lessons dragged, his students' questions barely piercing his focus. He kept his phone close, the video a heavy anchor in his pocket. During a free period, he drafted an email to Emily's company HR from a burner account Mia set up. He attached Mia's evidence, keeping it factual: dates, dollar amounts, and Ryan's name. He didn't mention Emily yet. The goal was to spark an investigation, let the truth unravel naturally. He hovered over send, his pulse racing. This wasn't revenge, it was justice. He hit the button. That evening, Jake got home first, his nerves electric. Emily walked in at 8:30 p.m., her usual cheer faltering when she saw him waiting on the couch, his laptop closed but open to the video on his phone. "Hey," she said, hesitating. "Everything okay?" Jake's voice was calm, almost cold. "Sit down. Eminesia." She froze, sensing the shift. He didn't waste words. He played the video, her kiss with Ryan, undeniable in the morning light. Emily's eyes widened, her hand covering her mouth as the clip ended. She stammered, "Jake, I don't." He cut in, his tone firm but not loud. "Explain. No lies." Emily's composure cracked, tears spilling as she sank onto the couch. She admitted it. Ryan was a co-worker she'd dated briefly in college. He'd rejoined her company 6 months ago, and old feelings resurfaced. "It was a mistake," she sobbed. "I didn't know how to stop." Jake listened, his heart aching but his resolve unshaken. She'd been meeting Ryan for months, sneaking around while Jake trusted her routine. The betrayal wasn't just the kiss. It was the life she'd hidden. Jake stood, his voice steady. "I sent evidence of Ryan's work scams to your HR today. They'll investigate. You might get caught in it." Emily's face paled. "You did what?" she whispered. Jake didn't flinch. "You made choices. So did I." He grabbed a duffel bag, packed essentials, and left for a friend's guest room across town. Emily's pleas followed him. "Jake, please, we can fix this." But he kept walking. He needed space, not promises. The next morning, Mia called with an update. HR's moving fast. They pulled Ryan into a meeting today. Word is they're auditing his projects. Jake nodded, staring out his friend's window at the Austin skyline. Emily texted, begging to talk, but he didn't reply. He wasn't ready. At school, he threw himself into teaching, finding solace in his students' energy. But the weight of the confrontation lingered, a mix of relief and raw pain. By afternoon, Mia sent another update. Ryan was suspended pending the audit, and Emily had been questioned about her involvement in his projects. The company's strict ethics policy meant both face scrutiny. Jake felt no joy, only a quiet satisfaction that the truth was out. He checked into a budget hotel near Zilker Park, needing distance from their shared home. That night, alone, he scrolled through old photos of him and Emily, hiking, laughing, volunteering. Each memory hurt, but he didn't delete them. Not yet. Jake met Mia for coffee the next day, her support a lifeline. "You did the right thing," she said. "You didn't lash out, you exposed the truth." Jake nodded, but the ache remained. He wasn't sure what came next: divorce, therapy, a new start, but he knew he couldn't stay in a life built on lies. As he walked back to his hotel, his phone buzzed with another text from Emily. "I'm so sorry. Can we meet?" He stared at it, torn. The truth was out, but the fallout was just beginning. Jake's marriage was over. The truth of Emily's betrayal laid bare. With Ryan's career crumbling and Emily facing consequences, Jake stands at a crossroads. Will he let pain define him or forge a new path? Brace for a gripping finale where justice prevails and healing begins, proving that even broken trust can lead to a stronger future. Jake Thompson woke in a budget hotel near Zilker Park, the hum of Austin's morning traffic filtering through the window. The past week had been a whirlwind. Emily's affair with Ryan Caldwell exposed, his anonymous tip to her company's HR sparking an investigation, and his decision to leave their shared home. The video of Emily's kiss with Ryan still haunted him, but Jake wasn't the type to wallow. He'd confronted the truth, and now he had to decide what came next. Today, he'd take the final steps to close this chapter, no matter how much it hurt. He met his sister, Mia, at a coffee shop near downtown. Her laptop was open, a fresh update ready. "Ryan's done," she said, sipping her latte. The audit found he'd been skimming thousands from client budgets. Fired yesterday. Emily's on thin ice. HR's reviewing her role in his projects. Jake nodded, the news landing with a dull thud. He'd expected vindication to feel better, but it was bittersweet. Emily's texts kept coming, apologies, pleased to meet, but Jake had ignored them. He needed clarity, not her promises. After coffee, Jake drove to a lawyer's office in South Austin. He'd researched divorce attorneys online, choosing one with a reputation for fairness. Sitting across from Ms. Alvarez, a no-nonsense woman with a sharp gaze, Jake laid out his situation. The affair, the video, his move to the hotel. "I don't want to fight," he said. "Just a clean break." She nodded, outlining a straightforward process. Texas law made uncontested divorces quick if both parties agreed. Jake signed the initial paperwork, his hand steady but his chest tight. Walking out, he felt a strange mix of relief and loss. The life he'd known was gone, but he was taking control. At Austin High, Jake threw himself into teaching, finding purpose in his students' debates and questions. During lunch, he joined a colleague's book club, a small step to reconnect with life beyond Emily. But the past crept in. A coworker mentioned seeing Emily at a downtown bar, looking shaken. Jake brushed it off, but curiosity gnawed at him. He texted Mia, asking for any final updates. Her reply came fast. "Emily's been demoted. HR cleared her a fraud, but cited poor judgment. She's a mess," according to a friend at her company. That evening, Jake agreed to meet Emily at a neutral spot, a quiet park near Lady Bird Lake. She was already there when he arrived, sitting on a bench, her posture slumped. "No es mal, no pretense." "Jake," she started, voice cracking, "I'm so sorry. I ruined everything." He let her speak, her words spilling out. Ryan's charm rekindled old feelings. She'd lost herself. She never meant to hurt him. Jake listened, his face unreadable. When she finished, he spoke calmly. "You made choices, Em. I trusted you, and you built a life behind my back. I can't unsee that." Emily's eyes brimmed with tears. "Can we try again?" she asked. Jake shook his head. "I'm filing for divorce. I need to move on." Her sobs followed him as he walked away, but he didn't look back. The pain was real, but so was his resolve. He drove to his hotel, the Austin skyline glowing under the dusk. For the first time in weeks, he felt lighter, like he'd shed a weight he hadn't known he was carrying. Days later, Mia called with a twist. "You won't believe this," she said. "Ryan got caught in another scam. Tried to pitch a shady side gig to a client right after getting fired. The client reported him. He's toxic now. No one in tech will touch him." Jake exhaled, the news of quiet justice. Emily, too, faced her reckoning. Her demotion meant a pay cut and a sidelined role. She'd moved out of their shared home, leaving Jake to decide its fate. He put on the market, ready to let go of the past. Jake found a small apartment near Zilker Park, signing the lease with a sense of new beginnings. He started therapy, recommended by a friend, to unpack the betrayal and rebuild his confidence. Sessions were tough, but grounding, helping him see he wasn't defined by Emily's choices. He reconnected with old friends, joined a hiking group, and volunteered more at the food bank, his old passion reigniting. One Saturday, hiking a trail in Barton Creek, he caught himself smiling at the sunrise, the first real smile in months. Emily sent one last message, acknowledging the divorce papers and wishing him well. Jake didn't reply. He didn't need to. He'd learned the hardest lesson. Trust could break, but so could cycles of deceit. Ryan and Emily faced their consequences, not through vengeance, but through the truth Jake had exposed. As he stood on the trail, the Texas Hill Country stretching before him, he felt ready, not just to survive, but to thrive. Life had cracked him open, but also showed him he could rebuild, stronger and wiser.